Good morning, all you beautiful bastards, bad bitches, and amazing, lovely dreamers out there. It's your captain, Dreamer, signing on for interesting little, I guess, topic I wish to talk about. So this channel is meant to be about philosophy, ultimately. And I know, wild, I haven't done anything philosophy related. Well, the fact of the matter is philosophy sort of boils down to, at least in my opinion, there's a lot of different things for philosophy. Um, but let's see if I can make. Does that look better? I can't tell. I don't know. I just feel like the reflections. You know what? I'll just take the glasses off. I'll just take the glasses off. Um, Philosophy, in my slight opinion, kind of boils down to I think, therefore I am, or I am, therefore I think. Um, Kind of a weird little area to be in. And the reason I say this is because, again, philosophy, in my opinion, is just sort of like if we'll just, because I'll get into this in a minute, if none of the religions are right, philosophy is nothing more than the human religion in a way. It's how do I see the world? How does the world see me back? Does that make sense? And if that doesn't, well, welcome to philosophy. I've wanted to make a philosophy video, and I just have never known really where to start. But well, unfortunately, it it's gonna start with, and there's going to be a lot of people that immediately click off of this, but it starts with religion, as I just said. And currently it's like March 30th, 2020. I don't have my. Yeah, I do. Here's my phone. Let me put this right up to my eyeball. Yeah, March 30th. Um, so that means we're heading towards the end of Lent and into the rest of the wonderful year that the Lord gives us. Now, obviously, evidently, by how I just spoke, yes, I believe in God, and yes, I believe in Jesus. So, while this is a philosophy video, it's going to be a philosophy video about religion and sort of my opinions and how religion has shaped me as, well, the creator of this channel and this visionary, if you will. Um, so I will say that I was raised Catholic. It's sort of below Christianity somehow. I don't know how, because Christianity is just so widespread. Um, in the fact that for some odd reason, it's the most dominant religion globally. And no hate, like at the end of the day, it's virtually the same thing. There's very mild differences between Catholicism and Christianity. Supposedly in Christianity, they don't think the Blessed Virgin Mary is holy or a relevant factor in it, while Catholicism does, and a few other little ritualistic practices and whatnot. I know it sounds like a cult, doesn't it? And I mean, what isn't? I suppose. I mean, just following your favorite YouTuber can basically be a cult sometimes. It's insane. Um, but I guess I'm here on the fact of sort of revelations and the fact that the the fact that nobody can understand it. Obviously, I can't, and I'm going to just come out and say that I have not read the Bible yet. I still need to do that. It's still one of the things on my to-do list, but thanks to the society I live in, capitalist society that it is, hang on. It's just that I don't really feel I have enough time to sit down and properly read it and interpret it for myself. I mean, I should, and I do, but considering I'm left so dead after work, and then there's just more work because, you know, work is never ending. It's kind of enjoyable to me. Yeah, I just don't really feel I have enough time, but something tells me I do. Um, and that I'll get around to it in my own due time. Um, but I guess I'm the main driving factor here is, and this is probably going to catch me a lot of flack, and it's going to go on both TikTok and YouTube. But, and this is just my opinion. You're welcome to. I want to make a joke, but the Catholic Church and everybody doesn't really have a sense of humor, so I'm just not gonna make that joke. I'll make it to people I trust and whatnot. But we'll start with Revelations first and foremost, okay? Because it's the one that everybody's so obsessed with, because Revelations is basically the end times. And the fact of the matter is for some odd reason, everybody is obsessed with this temple. I don't know the temple's name, so I'm just going to call it the temple. The temple needs to be built, right? And supposedly, it's already in Lego pieces and ready to be put together. Like, right now, as you're watching this video, and as I'm speaking this in the past, but you're watching the video in the future, whoever watches this, who knows. So supposedly that's how that's going to work out. Super weird that you would want that, but I mean, okay. But due to recent elections, everybody is a little worried and up in arms about, why does it feel like we're trying to rush the second coming of Christ? Like, and that's what it feels like, even in my opinion. And for a good portion of my life, I was agnostic, leaning towards the atheist, even though I was baptized, and even though I have received communion. The only thing, and I've done reconciliation, the only thing I haven't done is I haven't had confirmation, which, again, these are all very human things that I mean, aside from baptizing, I think baptizing is important. Definitely let them figure it out on their own, though, but if you're 50-50, mixed bag. It's like, you can't criticize the place where this religion comes from. And I'm going to, because my slight theory is this, right? And I don't know anything about the Quran or what they worship over there, or, you know, Islam. I don't know entirely everything. I'm not supposed to. Again, I'm human. I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. I'm not the Holy Spirit. I'm not even a prophet. I'm just talking out my ass. I'm just like, well, from my perspective, now, again, I identify mostly as Italian. Now, obviously, I was born and raised in America, so I'm technically an American. But right now, with how everything is and how we operate, I don't entirely want to identify as American, because, like, yeah, I don't think I really need to elaborate. But the Roman people under Pontius Pilate, supposedly, whoever that guy was, seems like a coward in my opinion. And if you don't know, Rome is located where? In Italy. Yeah, it's kind of basic reductive reasoning skills. So, for the sake of what I identify as, my people essentially handed Christ over to whoever it was that didn't believe that he was the Messiah. Even after all the miracles he worked, time and time and time again. And then, I'm just gonna say, took a nap. He just took a nap. He was just like, man, y'all really put me up there for 3 days. People walked by and saw me, and some people cried, some people were like, hooray, and other people were like, this ain't good. I'm just gonna take a nap for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go talk with, first I'm gonna pull some people out, and then I'm gonna go chill. I'm gonna go chill up there, next to him. Which, honestly, fair. Motherfucker deserved it. Not the 3 days part, but going up there and chilling. Like, bro, yeah. Cool, good. All good in the hood. But in my opinion, and this is just me, in order for any of Revelations to start coming true, that group of people that refuse to admit what they did, or maybe a bunch of different groups of people, for any of this to kick off, number one, we need to get together as humanity, as part of, the Almighty, because that's all we are, is we're just part of them. But again, if you can't fathom that, then fine, we'll just set that aside. The fact of the matter is there's a group of people that still doesn't want to believe and will still lie to themselves that they didn't put them there. And I think they just need to admit it. And a certain somebody who has been, well, again, this is still my own religion, but is basically wanted for, and again, it's a mixed can of worms, because is it self-defense? Is it a religious war? Who knows? He will not admit that, and neither will his group of people, and neither will the opposing side of people, because I don't know if there is an entire difference between, and I don't mean this to sound like racy, but I'm scared just to say the names of these races, man. Like, why? Why should I be scared of that? And I'm not going to. So, here we go. The Israelites and the Jews, I can barely fathom or understand the difference between the two sometimes. I think they just need to admit it, and then the Italians need to admit that they sold them out for shiny rock. I'll admit that. The Italian race is essentially a Judas, But, hey, what do I know? What do I know? So I think before any of Revelations is even going to kick off, some kind of united human front has to happen, and I do mean everyone, including the Russians, as much as I kind of don't like them, slightly, though, whatever. Then the Jews and the Israelis, so kind of 2 and 3, I think, need to admit what they did wrong. And then from there, well, it's in God's hands. Because my father and I, yesterday, and mind you, I'm about to go to church, so, we were kind of trying to grapple with Revelations, if you will, trying to understand it. My father believes that the temple is built first, and then God's chosen people, like 2/3 of them are killed, and the last third just flees. And I'm just like, okay, that's one way of looking at it. That's definitely understandable. But in my opinion, the temple is going to have already been built, because apparently, well, hang on, would that make sense? No, my opinion is this. My opinion is, and because this is the worst, in my opinion, the worst possible outcome, is that God's chosen people get enslaved again. Why? I mean, that just proves humanity has issues and has lost itself. But the worst possible outcome, in my opinion, is God's chosen people get enslaved, and then the temple gets built by those slaves. And obviously, they're also murdering and committing these atrocious acts against essentially God. Almost. They're not God, because again, they're still human. But they're God's chosen people. And that is when the end times is going to really start. Now, mind you, I don't know when this is. I don't know how far in the future this is. I can't even say this is a definitive fact. But in my opinion, that's the reality, is that Jesus' people that Moses freed, or let's just look at the Bible before Revelations. They were enslaved. They were given cruel and unjust and poor treatment. And then they were finally freed. Why in the world should we do that? Because that sounds like a second thing. And what else is the second thing that the rich are trying to force the Lord Almighty's hand on? Oh, that's right, the second coming of Christ. So, yeah, to me, that makes a lot more sense. Now, mind you, Revelations is not supposed to make sense. It's just not. And one of the creators that I've found recently, one of the content creators out there, kind of said it in a way that was very, very understandable, is that when John the Beloved, the favorite apostle in my opinion, when he was shown the entirety, except for like the last 2 minutes, according to sources, he was shown the entirety of the end times practically. Now, mind you, he's not going to have the words for everything, because this is how many years in the past. He's not going to understand what the fuck a car is. He's not going to understand what a computer is. He's not going to understand the genetic alterations and the different beasts that weren't entirely there at the time and whatnot. But let's just set that aside and say that he did. Okay. Well, the fact of the matter is his brain was scrambled. In fact, Jesus had to give him a scroll. And now, obviously, in my imagination, I'm imagining like this little rolled up, godly, and it doesn't even need to be made out of gold or written in gold ink, like just a parchment of paper, be it from animal flesh somehow, because I think we've made parchment from animal flesh in history, or maybe it's parchment made from a tree. Well, after a while, because his brain wasn't able to continue, Jesus kind of looked down at him. He's like, love you, man, but it's still not done yet. Here, eat this. And he had to eat it. He literally had to eat it. So, yeah. To say that To say that there's more to come still, I still feel like is an understatement. Okay? I don't know how much more. I can't say that, and I don't want to say that. I'm not going to make no predictions, man. I'm just here for the ride at this point. Okay? But that's kind of just my outlook on it. And there's not much more to this video than that. I don't think there's any more that I want to say or really have an opinion on right now. But yeah. But the fact of the matter is these evangelists. Now, mind you, it's not all of Christianity. I know there are. It just sucks because Christianity sort of has taken this weird fork in the road. Their churches are so ornate, and I'm not going to say ornate, but there's just so many more of them, and obviously there are other religions that are just completely and utterly. I'm not going to say them because I'll definitely get disappeared here in America. Definitely using the church loophole in our our Constitution, which unfortunately, welcome to the evils of the world. Yeah. Christianity is not nearly as bad as some of those other ones, but they definitely do feel like they are on top when we're really not. Okay, white people, we're just not. We're terrible. Okay, we are still terrible. We are all equally terrible. And as much as I'm not going to say envious or anything, but as much as I'm a little confused on the whole God's chosen people thing, does that mean the Jews? Does that mean the Islams? Does that mean the Israelites? Does that mean the fucking Russians? Who fucking knows ultimately? We don't have that information technically. I mean, I don't. Maybe we do, and I'm just misinformed. Which again, who knows how much flack this gets me. What can we do besides wait and do our best to help our fellow man out, which is not really happening here in America. So yeah, they may not admit directly, which means again they're technically lying, which they shouldn't really be doing. As much as they may not admit that they're trying to force the hand of God because they want this rapture to happen and for the temple to be built and whatnot, because everybody wants to believe they're the chosen people. I'm just like, man, I don't, not that it doesn't matter, because it's like the driving force of this world almost at this point, other than basic science and physics. It's like, why does it matter? Why does it matter? We'll get there when we get there, and God will move when God wants to move, and not at our request. Just not at our request. Or rather, actions that are trying to force him to. It's like we're sitting here trying to... He's sitting in his throne, and let's just imagine it's a lawn chair. We're sitting underneath this lawn chair throne of his with little pointy sticks trying to poke through his godly divine armor, and we'll just call it steel, since that's something we can fathom in our brains. We're just like, move, do it, come on, this sucks, do it. It's just not gonna happen. He's just like, man, it's kind of beautiful out here. He doesn't even feel it. He literally doesn't even notice it. We're just like, and now there's just a couple billion of us. He's just like, man, it's beautiful out here. Who knows? Who knows, man? Who knows? Okay, so maybe we're in the end times already. Maybe we're not. Maybe there's still a billion more years before we get there. Don't know. Don't care. I'm just here, man. And, well, after the events of my childhood at this point, because the unimportant day has passed, I have come to grips and terms with reality. And, in my opinion, God. God is just reality. It's just the reality of the situation. So, we're going to continue to work, and we're going to continue to basically suffer until the return, which means there's still going to be many more of us that die as humans. Congrats. Only through life do you know death. But, I don't know. Maybe I'm too young for this stuff. To be honest, I'd like to have a more human life than I do, but it doesn't feel like that's entirely meant for me. So, but who knows? God works in mysterious ways. See if this loses me subscribers or not. Not that I care about that. I do this for fun. I do have a job outside of this. Obviously, I don't like upload every day. I'm not going live every night as much as I would love to. But I'll continue to be poor. I mean, just because you see in my reflection a relatively nice monitor. Let me explain to you what this was. This was a gift for graduating high school. Okay? Because I never even thought I would make it that far. And somehow I just keep going. I don't entirely want to. In fact, I tried to kill myself several times. But evidently I failed, so about the only thing I can do apparently, and I don't want to be a statistic for the left or for getting rid of self-defense, would be, you know, the immediate checkout. So, I won't do that one, but who knows, maybe I'll hang myself instead. I've always thought about that one. Man, that's dark. Anyways, what time is it? Yeah, it's getting closer and closer, so I'm going to leave this video here. We'll see what this swell Sunday, even as cloudy and overcasty as it is, that has been gifted to all of us, has in store for me. And, well, I really don't see that many people, so yeah, I will see all you beautiful bastards, bad bitches out there, and lovely, amazing dreamers in the next video. This is your captain, signing off. Bye-bye.